pharmaceutical company. And so the immunotherapy becomes a global hotspot. So in our sentence, we focus on the stem cell transplantation, also the immunotherapies, and we can see here until now we have the 122 cases, so including the B cell hematological malignancies, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and B cell lymphoma, and multiple myeloma. And a few cases is myeloid leukemia. And for the patients and with the target, including the CD19 and about the 36%, and the DUCA and the CD19 and the CD22, the double target CAR is 36%, and the BCMA about the 23%. So another is the CD22 for the CD19 field after the CAR therapy. So patients come from the refractory and relapse patients, and we can see here some of the relapse after chemotherapy, about the 30%, and the relapse after the first allogeneic stem cell transplantation and the second transplantation, and the primary refractory patients is all the refractory and the relapse patient. The CAR T cell derivation and the autologous come from the patients about the we have the most patients and the autologous and with the hemolytic stem after the hemolytic stem cell transplantation about 6%. So another is come from the donor and about the after transplantation. A few cases from the donor, another donor. So because its correction is failed, and so we can correct another the third donor. So for the acute leukemia, we all know first the CAR T can be used in the acute lymphocytic leukemia. So all the clinical treatment schedule protocol, and first the minor 11 days, we will correct the lymphocytes and the peripheral blood mononuclear cells correction and the CAR T cells translation. And before the minor A, we will give the patients this fludarabine and cyclophosphamide-based condition regimen. And we will transfusion the CAR T cells fresh, not the frozen, and the CAR T cells infusions and when can follow such patients. And after CAR T, and we will assessment after treatment, and for the acute lymphocytic leukemia, we assessment 1 week and follow the patients. And we can see that just 1 week. So refractory relapsed patients after allogeneic stem cell transplantation, and another group is the chemotherapy relapsed patients and the refractory patients. Almost the patients reach the complete remission. And after 1 week, 1 month, after 1 month, we will evaluate such patients. It's all patients reach the complete remission. So all the complete remission and the latest for the CD19 targeted CAR T therapy are the sentence about 92% in 1 month. The more important, I think, that after the CAR T therapies, the remission patients is the deeply complete remission, and we call the MRD negative or the flow cytometry flow cytometry detected is less than 0.01%. And the CAR T groups can be, we can see the 100% patients which is MRD negative. And the comparison another group with the chemotherapy patients, just about 24% can reach the MRD negative. And compared to group, and one is the CAR T therapies and the negative observed and or the conducted transplantation, and another group is chemotherapy. We can see the 1 year survivor and CAR T therapy patients is about 60%, and 1 year the chemotherapy group can be the 1 year survivor is 10%. And another more important, we can see the CAR T therapies can be related to the actual medullary relapse. The patient is after the patient is affiliated from chromosome positive acute lymphocytic leukemia, received allogeneic stem cell transplantation, haplotransplantation 2 years later, relapse. So they relapse in the testing. So we can see such the mass, and we will biopsy shows is all the infiltrated by the leukemia cell. So after the CAR T therapies, we can see the leukemia cell eliminated, and we will detect the CAR T cells in these testing tissues. So we reported the CAR T cells penetrated the blood testing virus and eradicated the leukemia cell in testing. And for another action medulla, just like the patient is the breast, and we can see here the CAR after the relapse, and we can see the CAR T cells also can eradicate the extramedullary relapse and leukemia cell in the breast. This is the PET CT scans 1.5 months after the CAR T cell treatment. And here is another patient. We can see here after the relapse, the leukemia cell infiltrated the bone and muscles, and the patient's clinical manifestation is very poor. So after the CAR T therapies, and we can see the infiltrated leukemias eliminated. And 3 months after the CAR T therapies, the PET CT scan shows this complete remission. And for such the mutation and the high risk patients, and we can see the CAR T therapies is also can be irradiated, can be eliminated such the leukemia cells. This patient is T315 high mutation acute lymphocytic leukemia, and this is confirmed the chronic myeloid leukemia transferred to the acute lymphocytic leukemia. So the patient is wicked. The patient is and first with the dasatinib, and the dasatinib can reach the complete remission. And we use the CAR T therapy. But after the CAR T therapy, we can see here is the BCR-ABL and the T mutation cells clone have the eliminated. But another is the clone is not the completely eliminated. So we will give the patients the dasatinib again. So after the dasatinib and the CAR T cells and together, we can see here the patients. And the 2 clones can be eliminated totally. And another question is, because we have some donors come from the autologous and the allogenic, how about the allogenic and the autologous, the CAR T cell? And we comparison between donors, the left is the CAR T cells and the loggers and from the donors. We can see here the efficacy CAR T cells expansion. There's some difference. Autologous is better than the hollow CAR T cells. And the bigger interleukin 6 and the interferon gamma levels were higher in the auto CAR T groupers than in the donor, come from donors, hollow CAR T groupers. So the univariate analysis of the possible factors affected the allogenic CAR T cells therapies, we can see here, and maybe the chronic GVHD and the time of the peripheral receptor reaction maybe will affect such the donors, the T cells. So for the patients and I think another challenge is about the main obstacles of the CAR T is the relapse, and we also follow on the CD19 groupers and bone marrow and the bone marrow plus the central nervous system relapse about 50%. So we'd like to understand how about this TCR about this after the CAR T therapy. We can see the CAR T therapies narrate the diversities and increase the clonalities of the T cell. Repertories in the blood and the bone marrow subject with acute lymphocytic leukemia. And then also the CAR T therapies stimulated the clone proliferation of the T cell both in the bone marrow and the blood. and such the inclusive treatment induced the TCL clone were found in the peripheral treatment samples, but not the CAR T cells pool. So finally we can see such the maintains the TCR, the T cell clone come from the normal immune system, and beside the CAR T cells. So for the CIS, and we can see after the acute lymphocytic leukemia, CIS also important. And we can see here is all the clinical studies shows the temperature changing, and the first fever within the 48 hours, or the fever with higher than the 39 centigrade after the CAR-T19 infusion are the predicted factor associated with the grade 3, the CIS. And after such the CIS, and we can see the laboratory computer-based changing the grade C, especially the grade 3 CIS has more toxicities on the computer-based systems. And such the risk associated grade more than the grade 3 CIS, and associated with the number of the leukemia cell, number of the reverses, relapse, and MRD after the chemotherapy condition regimen. So it's a higher leukemia burdens, it's a higher the grade CIS. So second disease we'd like to talk about is the non-Hodgkin lymphoma. And the B-cell non-Hodgkin lymphoma, we can see here there's some report about the CR and the overall response rate is about, I think about the ORR about the age 70 to 80%, and the complete remission about the 50%. So how can improve the results and can be improve the overall complete remission? So with all of the once changing is the double CAR target. And the CD19 and the CD22 target the CAR T maybe forms the more antigens and can be the more effective for such the lymphoma cells. So we compare it to groups. One group is the CD19 CAR Ts, and the small group is the CD19 CD22 target group. And we until now we have this process such as the clinical study. And until now we have the comparison of the CD19 single target and the CD19 CD22 targeted CAR T. We can see here the complete remission improved about 20%, and the overall complete remission about 80%. And observe about the 1 year, and we can see here the dual CAR and so over survivors that is single target. And such the effect we think is also associated with the expansion. We can see here the CD19 and CD22 target CAR T therapy for B-cell lymphoma. The complete remission patients is the expansion is very well in vivo, about the 50%. But the partial remission is just a low level, and so the vivo expansion is very important to eradicate such the lymphoma cells. And another very interesting, we can see here the dual CAR and the civilian, the CIS is lower than the single target. And we use the CD19 single target CAR T about the civilian, the CIS about 30%, but the dual CAR just about 10%. So how about we can predict that such the CIS or the overall survival? Because the PET-CT scan can be used for the diffuse large B-cell lymphoma and such the clinical study. So we will the analysis, the PET-CT scan, and we use the metabolic tumor volume and MTV and the total lesions, glucose lesions, and the TLG from the PET-CT scan. We evaluated such patients. how about the outcome and the CIS. And we can the clinical outcome and the adverse effect of the CAR T-cell therapy patients. And we can see here is the overcomes is not different, but there's the P is 0.62. There's no difference. But the CIS, there's the two group is very significant. If the MTV is more than the average level, or the TLG is over more than the average level, such the patients, and the civilian CIS is more easy, can be happen. So such the PET-CT scan also can be used as evaluated as a local effect. We can see here the enlargement of the anterior digestive lymphoma. After CAR T therapies, the patients use the local CIS and the edema, the tissue edema. We can see here the leaded SBC syndrome, the patients. After the steroids treatment, the patients is released. And these the patients are also the myocarditis after CAR T cell therapies. And we can see here the patients is, and the pre-treatment the patients is very lesions infiltrated the lymphoma, including the cardiac myocardial. And after treatment, the patients also have the deep edema. And after the steroids treatment, the patients release. So finally, we'd like to talk about the multiple myeloma. And multiple myeloma, we screened about the 33 cases, and now we evaluation of the efficacy and toxicity about the 21 cases. Here is the characteristic of patients. We can see here the almost patients is the more long times receive the chemotherapies and the new drugs and the autologous stem cell transplantations. And such the patients is the last stage of the multiple myeloma, so refractory relapse. So such the patients and we use the BCMA, the CAR T therapies, and we can see here we can use the before and after CAR T therapies. The flow cytometry shows it's very fast eliminated the leukemia cell. So all patients achieve the overall response. And we can see here, and the patients also the extramedullary lesions were eradicated after CAR T therapy treatment. This is beside one patient is dying of the bleeding, and one is not the remission. And after the patient is we can see here is the patient is the complete remission and a very good partial remission and partial remission. So the high probability such the BCMA CAR T cells is the proliferation is very high. We can see here that such the patients is more than the 50% of the CAR T cells. And for the first 3 to 5 days after CAR T infusions, most of the CAR T cells are the CD4 positive. Then the CAR T cells change to the CD8 T cells, implying the CD8 CAR T cells eradicated the lymphomas rapidly. So for the CIS, such patients and the grade 3 about the 46%, the grade 2 about the 46%. So all the BCMA CAR patients is the CIS almost the 100% suffer from the CIS. So another adverse effect and just like fevers, hypoxia, and just another adverse effect is very low. The renal function is also very concerned because it's the multiple myeloma patients are aware such the dysfunction of the kidney. So the renal function and the tumor lymphocytes, some patients can be occurs, but finally the patient is recover the renal function. The coagulation dysfunction also because it's due to the CIS. This case is the primary plasma cells leukemia. We can see here the red is the leukemia cell, and the leukemia cell we can see here just about the day 6, and the day 7 is the peripheral primary cells is disappear, and the blue is the CAR T cells, and the CAR T cells expanded rapidly, like eradicated the plasma cell leukemia. So within the 7 days. So I think the primary primary cells leukemia is refractory such patients is the CAR T have very good results. So on the summary and for the B cell, the hematological malignancies, we think the CAR T therapies targeted the B cell is very good and is very effective. For the acute lymphocyte leukemia, we have the high CR rate with the high relapse rate. So the CAR T cells maybe will how about the maintain or the long-term survival? Maybe the hematopoietic stem cell transplantation can be decrease the relapse rate. For the lymphoma, and because it's the lowest complete remission, and we now will announce the novel CAR T treatment such as the CAR and combined with the drug. And for the multiple myeloma, and we think the high CR rate and the low relapse rate, so we should reduce the complete remission, and just like the CRS and give the patients the long survival. So I'd like to thank you all the clinical teams and the laboratory teams and the cellular companies and including the innovative cellular therapies and the Korea biotechnology. And thank you for your attention.